Money is made possible by financial support from Old National Bank and Chicagoans like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to In the Money. I'm your host, Kimberly Loftis, a CPA and financial executive who today is financially secure, but was not always. Last year, you got to learn a little bit about my journey to financial freedom, as well as many of our guests who shared their financial ups and downs with tips for you along the way. This season will be about securing your future, shaping your destiny, and unlocking your doors to financial freedom. As we step into the promising year of 2024, it's time to set the stage for a financially empowering journey. This year, the new year will bring more than just resolutions. It will bring a step-by-step guide to getting your financial house in order, building sturdy foundations, and laying down plans that stream success. In the year ahead, let's make a pact with ourselves to create a robust financial future. It's not just about pinching pennies, it's about strategically directing our hard-earned dollars. Whether it's mastering the art of budgeting, creating emergency funds, conquering debt mountains, or understanding the world of investing, 2024 is the year we take charge. We'll continue to have expert insights, success stories, and practical tips so that you can be financially empowered. This journey to financial security will happen right now, right here in my living room. Welcome back. This season we have coming back to the show Tamika Hill and Ben Joergens, who are experts in their fields of mental health and financial well-being. I will say there are a lot of self-proclaimed experts out there, but I want you to learn a little bit about our guests and why you should be listening to them as subject matter experts, and for you to be the judge yourself. Welcome, Tamika and Ben.
Thank you.
Tamika, please let the audience know a little bit about your background and how mental health is part of the financial freedom journey.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, if your mind is not right, your money not right. Mm-hmm. That's just the truth. But my background is I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I own a private group practice with a nurse practitioner as well. And I also own T Hill Consulting, where I go into the professional sector and do professional development because mental wellness is a lifestyle, not a response to a crisis. Okay. And you have to learn to live mentally well everywhere you are. So not just individual for counseling, but you also need it in your workspace because that's where you spend the other half of your time if you're not in your personal life, right? And my success record is half of my clients, well, not half, but quite a few of my clients have successfully became business owners on the side, you know, because once again, once your mind is right, your money can get better. So
why should the audience be listening to you?
Because my lifestyle says it. Coach T, I walk in a room, I own it, I command it, and really my lifestyle represents what I say. So a lot of times you will have experts in things who have maybe the educational background but not the experience. I have the education and the experience to match. Like I've went through bankruptcy. I've built a business from scratch. So with all that being said, how could you not want to learn from a person who's been through it, who's just not telling you something but who's actually walked the walk?
Okay, great. Ben, please tell us a little bit about your background and why financial literacy is important in achieving financial freedom.
Yeah, no, so it's good to be back, Kimberly. And so I've been with the bank this December now 24 years. So I started in the retail world, did a little bit in strategic planning and M&A and then commercial lending, a little bit of everything. And I've been running at financial education for Old National for the last 10 years. So I think I couldn't do what I do today without that long journey with the bank prior to that. So being able to take all those different experiences that we learned throughout that journey at Old National and be able to bring it into being what I do now in teaching to a variety of audiences.
Okay. So Ben, what would be the most important thing or three things that you would share with someone about starting that journey on financial freedom?
Yeah, I think the first one is really just to commit to something, right? You know, we're New Year's time where we set resolutions and we try to do things better. And I think so many times we just see ourselves delaying that piece. I'm going to get to it soon. I'm going to get to it later. I think the biggest piece is setting a date and say, I'm going to start it today or tomorrow. And if you're in a relationship, I think the big key is having that partner agree to do it together. Okay. Holding each other accountable is such a big piece. And then set goals. I'm a big fan of goal setting, and I know Tamika from the psychology side, it's what we do in that area. And really bringing over that psychology piece to financial literacy and education is important. So think about what you want your life to look like, and then being able to back into that to develop reasonable goals, and then tying that financial education to applying those to achieve your dreams that you want to acquire.
And then Tamika, how does the financial literacy piece pair with mental health?
Well, if you think about it, right, if you're depressed, how are you going to save money? Most people who are depressed spend money.
Okay.
Or if you are still living in a poverty mindset, meaning you're living in scarcity, you're hoarding money. So you're not really living in, I don't want to say like this luxury, but you're living at the bare minimum when you've made it, but you don't know you've made it.
Right.
Or the other part about how like teaching people how to invest. Because sometimes we do the checkbox to get the prize, meaning the mortgage or the house, the car, but then you can't sustain it because you don't know how, right? Yeah, so.
And then when you meet with people in your financial literacy workshops, do you see the mental aspect of that in your work?
I do. So I am a firm believer in teaching the psychology, because for me it's hard to change financial behavior if we don't know what we're doing right now. So in the psychology term, I spent a lot of time talking about Robert Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions, right? There's 8 basic primary emotions. It's amazing how many of those emotions affect what we do with our money, whether it's disgust, anger, joy, sadness. To Tamika's point, a lot of those are the foundation of why we do what we do. And it's important to understand that piece of psychology and that behavior. What do we do now? And if I want to change, I have to understand that I might have to change that behavior going forward.
Okay. And then when we think about financial literacy, what does financial literacy actually mean?
Yeah, so I use a lot of the terms of financial empowerment or financial wellness, but financial literacy is that, understanding the concepts and the terms of those different finance topics. So I think financial literacy is one piece of understanding it. Financial empowerment is taking that, or financial capability, taking that knowledge and then applying it to our personal lives. And I think that's the key piece where we see the transition take place.
That is so powerful what you just said, because when I use financial literacy loosely, but never really thought about it being financial empowerment and financial literacy being 2 different things. Yeah. So I could rattle off what annual percentage rate means or how to calculate it. But when I think about empowerment, it's taking that information and coming up with helps my pocketbook.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. I love that. And so when we think about financial empowerment versus financial literacy, how do I know which bucket I'm sitting in as a viewer?
Yeah, so I think if I've heard the terms, right, if it's annual percentage rate or credit profile, if I understand what the concept means, I'm probably in that financial literacy perspective. If I understand what avenues really boost my credit score, or what pieces, how do I get my credit or my investment portfolio mixed together to be able to enjoy retirement at the, in the long term, that's the empowerment piece. So taking the lessons of learning the topics and then applying it so that we can achieve those financial goals and dreams. That's where the empowerment piece kicks in.
Okay. And that mental health is important to that financial empowerment. So the same question, if the audience is watching, how do I know that I am suffering from some mental issues when it comes to money?
Oh, if your money's in the red, you know. You know that negative on that bank account, or when you're checking the bank account every day to try to calculate what's being deducted, you know you got some issues there.
But couldn't I be financially okay? Like for me, historically, I suffered from the poverty mindset where I held on to money. So I had money, but I was scared to spend it. So I'm in the black, but I still have issues with money. So how would I know? I know now, but I didn't know then. What are some of the ways, if I'm in the audience and I suffer and everything looks good, but I'm not getting joy out of my money? How do I even recognize that?
You said the key word, joy.
But I know it now, but at the time, I didn't know, because my family was stressed about money growing up. So I took on that, even though I was in a good spot. I still think about, as a child, they were stressed about money. So money's always something to be stressed about.
True.
But how do I know as an audience member that I'm suffering even though I'm in the black?
So if you're always worried about money or hyper focused on money and you're not behind in anything, but let's say you're ahead 3 months, right? But you're still hyper focused about money, that's a sign.
Okay.
That's a trigger right there, because your anxiety is constantly hyper focused on finances when your finances say you are in the black, right? And I love that you said both sides, because we do have where we know we're in the red and we still are spending. I'm sure right now there's people spending money they don't have, right?
And trying to justify it to themselves. Right?
Yes, completely. I deserve this.
Yes.
And that's another thing. If you find yourself saying that a lot and still not having enough money, that's a trigger. Like understanding the signs and triggers of money it's hard to get to understand that, but once you understand it, then you know, like, okay, I need help with this. So whether you're in abundance or not in abundance, if your mind is centered around money, if you're buying things to make yourself feel better, or if you can't buy things to make yourself feel better, then you know something's wrong.
So going back to what this show is about financial transformation, I'm thinking about it, the whole family structure. So as experts, what would you say if I have bad habits now when it comes to money, even though I don't have my financial house in order, that's what this season is about, what can I do to make sure that my family, my children don't take on my bad habits? Let's start with you, Tamika, from a mental aspect, and then Ben will talk about from a financial empowerment standpoint.
So that's a trick question. The reason being because people learn off of what you show them, not what you tell them.
Okay.
So I would say it would be hard for your children not to take on what they see daily. So I don't know if that's even possible.
Okay.
So it would have to be with you starting to break generational curses with how you deal with money and actually sitting down and have those real transparent conversations with your kids, owning those mistakes, letting them know that, yes, I made a bad mistake. And letting them know why it was a bad mistake.
Would you recommend that they watch the show as a family unit, instead of just as an individual? Like if you're in a romantic relationship, or if you have kids and the kids have already seen you stressed about money, maybe you should watch it together? You think that would be helpful?
Oh yes, like back in the days, I don't know who will remember this, but like watching the Cosby Show. Yes, I definitely recommend watching the shows together, but really sitting down and dissecting it, not just watching it, because sometimes, you know, when you're watching stuff, it can go over your head, but really doing a playback, right, where you dissect, okay, well, this is in this part of the segment, this is what represented what I do that how can we keep each other accountable? We don't often bring kids into accountability, but bringing your kids and your spouse or whoever's in that household to bring each other for accountability and making it a family goal versus individual goal.
And then Ben, from a financial empowerment standpoint, what would you say about the same question?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's one of the things the kids are going to do what their parents do most of the time. And I see my kids do this, you know, when they always want to stop at McDonald's or whatever chain it is. And I have to, as the adult, sometimes, it's easier, right? But I have to think, what am I going to teach my kids of just thinking that money grows on trees, right? And I think it's a big piece because I know that they develop certain habits from us anyway. So we really want to set the strong financial advice as a parent. So, you know, my kids always ask, when are we getting a bigger house, Dad? I'm like, well, it's not happening, right? Because if you want to go to college one day and you want to go on vacations, we have to set that stage because I know eventually, most likely they're going to have kids too. And what we want to do is pass on that knowledge. And to what Tamika said too, it's great to watch things together, and I highly recommend it. And then it's time to set action. Because a lot of times we hear stuff like, we'll get to that next year or this year. But I think really taking that and then putting a plan in place is so key. But yes, our kids are going to watch what we do, and we have to set that example from the top and just to show them what's the right thing to do.
That is perfect. I love that about the action. Take action. This is what this whole season is about, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Bianca Cotton. On the next episode of Behind the Confident Smile, I'll be sitting in conversation with Lakeisha Spike.
As occupational therapists, physical therapists, they are professionals in their field, but you are the professional of your child.
Join the conversation on CAN TV Cable Channel 19 and streaming on cantv.org and CAN TV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
Welcome back. Now that you know why these individuals have the know-how to help guide you through your financial transformation, let's discuss what you need to achieve success. The first is your commitment. You are only cheating yourself if you don't follow through. Tamika, what are some of the other mental needs for success in 2024?
I love that you said commitment because I really want to talk about how we feel like we fail and our minds are programmed to start back on Monday. So if we fail on Wednesday, we're like, okay, I'll start back on Monday or the first of the month. Make a commitment that just because you made a mistake, in the middle of the week, you stay back on track. You know, no matter what that is, make a commitment to yourself and a really what I call mental Teflon, honestly. Develop that mentality that you can't lose, even if you make a mistake. Just keep going.
So mental readiness, what does that mean to you for financial empowerment? You have mental readiness. What does that include?
Sacrifice, discipline, commitment.
Elaborate, please.
Oh, yes. Sacrifice, right? So sacrifice means you're going to have to give up something, whether that's even if you're living in abundance or you're living below standard of what you would like. What that means is that you're going to have to say, okay, if you are a person who are in abundance, right, then you're going to have to make a sacrifice and get uncomfortable to spend some money. But if you are living in the red, then you have to make a sacrifice and not buy things. That's, you know, what it's going to take. And that's a really challenging your perspective and your mentality of how you go about things. Getting control of your emotions. So disciplining them not to reflect like, okay, I'm depressed, so I'm going to go buy me some food, or I'm going to go shopping because I work hard, so I deserve it. But your pocketbook is in the red.
Right.
So no, you don't.
So what do you do with those people? Because I've run into people who know they're in the red, but for some reason they're able to mind block it and still spend, but they're just not willing to do that sacrifice. And I know you see, both of you see that. Yeah. Have you had any breakthroughs? Like Ben, have you had any breakthroughs to get people to see that they need a sacrifice?
Yeah, so a lot of them that I've met with, I try to meet regularly, so it's not once a month. You know, if I'm meeting with a client, for example, it's like, let's meet weekly for a little bit. And when we get done with that first lesson, while it's fresh in the brain, they're excited, they're motivated, I said, here's the steps I want you to do and before we meet next week. And I hold them accountable. And then I introduce them to a banker at the branch that they can develop that relationship with. And I think that's the key piece is a lot of it sounds good when they hear it in theory, but until they start applying it, they're noticing, okay, I do need to make change. And sometimes you just have to be blunt.
Right.
I've had some that whether it was they were spending money on things they just shouldn't spend money on or is just, you know, willfully spending. It was being pretty upfront, saying, you don't need this. You know, a lot of times we as individuals justify to ourselves that we need certain things. But I'm sure you could tell me, Kimberly, things that I don't need to buy that I might buy and vice versa. So I think that's the key piece of awareness, understanding what it is, and then holding them accountable to try to make adjustments for the next time.
Now, Tamika, have you seen once that, you know, that blunt conversation that you don't need this where people have a visceral reaction, and how do you deal with that when you're trying to help somebody?
So first up in a session with me, I tell people, if you want to be validated, go to your friend. If you want change, stay with me. And that's just the truth, because your friends are always going to make you feel good. I'm not. I'm going to make you self-aware, and it's going to hurt, and you got to work through the dirt to get to the growth. And so there are some conversations, as you stated, that you're just going to have to be blunt on. So like, why did you buy that? And they're going to say, oh, because I needed it. So, and I'm going to say, so did your bank account say you needed it? So what? So how you paying ComEd? You know, so you got to make realistic conversations sometime with people. And I love that you give homework, because I'm big in therapy about providing homework. Because like you said, it sounds good, but if you're not implementing strategies daily, it doesn't matter. And it really starts with small steps, not this big thing. Like, you're not going to save $10,000 and you're in the negative $5,000,
Right.
You know, overnight.
So now that we're talking about steps, I would like to hear from both of you. What are those 3 key steps? I would like the audience to be able to walk away, no matter what financial situation. I know it would be hard to cover everybody, but what steps can they start taking? Talking about action. We talked about commitment. So what does commitment look like? How can they define commitment? Is that writing something on a piece of paper? Is that putting a dollar figure about it? Like, Ben, start off, what is commitment?
So I'm a big fan of SMART goals, right?
Okay.
Specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, time-driven, and I am a big fan of writing them down.
Okay.
I could have the greatest things in my mind, and it was funny, I heard it, my daughter and I tell jokes every day, and I had one I was going to tell you today, and I already forgot it, right? So I'm like, if I can't remember a joke, Kimberly, how am I going to remember my financial goals? So write it down, and I say every day. Keep it very specific, measurable, attainable, result.
Every day?
The reason I say is the more you write it down, the more likely it's going to happen. So for me, when I wake up, it's write that down, and that tells me why I'm going to work that day. These are my lifetime goals of what I want to achieve, and if I want to achieve those, I've got to make sure that I understand why I'm even going to work each day, right?
Okay.
But I think that's a big piece, because when we see it, we believe it, and it can become true. So I think that's step 1.
So do you need to have the overall goal to be able to make the daily goals?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we just need to dream about about what we want our life to be like. You know, so many people I talk to, they get to retirement age like, I don't even know what I want to do. I never even really thought about it. I was just told to save. I'm a big fan of thinking about what you want your life to be like, and then start setting those individual goals, whether it's to retire by a certain age or be out of debt by a certain age, send kids to college. You can always back in the numbers. The math's not going to change, but we have to understand what we really want our life to look like, and then assign a goal for each of those, and then just back in the numbers from a budgetary perspective.
So the action that they should take today after watching the show should be dream about what do you want to accomplish, what do you want your life to look like at a, be it at 25, 35 retirement, and then once you have that laid out, think about the individual goals to get there, and then from that, create daily goals.
Absolutely. Just close your mind, daydream what you want your life to be like, and then just start thinking about aligning a goal to achieve each of those items.
Okay.
And then just have somebody to help you along the way.
Love it. Tamika?
Oh, I love that you said that. So I'm big about vision, right? So a lot of people do vision boards. I don't believe in them. I believe in vision planners because you could put all these beautiful things up, but what's the plan to get there?
Right.
So I love that you said that. So I do this thing I'm a sports fan. The only way all sports are played is making contact, whether it's boxing, basketball, whatever. So you have to be in constant contact with your goal if you're going to make the vision. So you write down what you said, daily visions, right? What is your small goal for today? The only time you get off is on the weekend. Monday through Friday, there has to be small goals every day and I go through a 90-day thing. So for your 30-day mark, it may be that I'm going to save $100. So what are you doing Monday through Friday for those 4 weeks? That's going to get you to that $100.
Okay.
Or if you want to get out the mindset of, not spending, what are you doing? And some things are really just mental steps. It's not actual, like you got to go buy something. It's mentally preparing your mind to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Words of affirmation, empowering your mental.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and one thing I think about as we enter the new year, right? A lot of times retirement's so far off, I'm not going to think about it, right? But I think the beginning of the year is a great time, if you haven't already, is to commit to a certain amount out of your paycheck to go to retirement. Make it automatic. That way the action started. Probably don't even see the money going away, to be honest. But it's just making that commitment to your point. You got the vision, now let's put some action behind it. And then before you know it, you don't even think about it.
Now, what about the mind? So we want to get the mindset right for 2024. So what would you recommend to start getting ready? Like, what should they do? We have our vision, we have our goals, but mentally, what are the steps that you would recommend to get there?
So if you do not, because everybody does not want to go to a counselor. So say you don't want to go to a counselor. Start getting some self-help books. Self-awareness and understanding your own triggers will definitely help you understand your mental more better.
So how do I even know if I go to Amazon or go to the local bookstore? I don't even know what to look for to say, hey, I need to understand money better mentally. I wouldn't even know what I should be looking for. Like, what are those words that I should scream out to me that this is a book for me?
So step away from the money part first. So we're talking just strictly emotions, because emotions really are what drives the money.
Okay.
So you would look for things like how to self-regulate your emotions, how to become aware of triggers, boundaries, attachments, those kind of words. Anything dealing with any kind of emotion, or being self-aware of, say, what do I want to work on within my emotions?
Okay.
Because usually it's connected to your money somewhere.
Right. And then for 2024, what should they come prepared with? If I'm trying, because I need to know where I'm going for a financial transformation, but I want to know where I'm going, which is the vision. But where am I coming from? Like, what would tell me where I am today?
I'd say the great piece would, we're going to talk about a lot of those topics throughout the year, but look at what your bills are at the end of December, right? Just lay them out, see what they are, put it on a budget from the income or the expense side, see where we're at, and then make some. All right, if I got goals to reduce expenses, for example, here's my starting point. Right, this is what I'm looking at. But I think it's also key to think about what money might I be receiving in the near future, because you think beginning of the year we got tax refunds.
Right.
What do most people do with it? They blow it on stuff they don't need, right? But think about those things in the emotional side, right? If somebody tells you, hey, you're going to get $5,000 on your refund, they've already spent it. But if I know that the past history has given me X amount, let's go ahead and put a plan in place. I'm going to start my emergency fund. I'm going to put some money in this savings for whatever it might be. But I think taking the emotional side out of it and the psychology side of saying, let's just go ahead and put a plan so when this does come, I'm ready to start my year off much better than I did last year.
So if I'm me and I want to work with you because I know I need help, what paperwork, what should I have available if I want to do it with someone like you, or I want to do it individually? Is it a credit reports? Is it bank statements? What do I need to be looking at to say, what does my personal balance sheet look like?
100%. So a big key is finding someone to work with, right? So if you don't have somebody, stop in your local bank, tell them that you're looking for somebody to join them on their venture to financial success, right? If they tell you don't have time for you, then go find a bank that does, right? But I think that's a good piece, is building the relationship, because part of it's built on trust. I think putting a simple budget together, what are your expenses, what's your income? If you can print out your own credit report and bring it in, because don't go to the bank, because in order for us to print it out, we've got to run credit and apply for a loan. Don't do that, right? But print it out, bring it in, and say, here's my goals. I want somebody in this journey with me. Will you help me? And when you feel like you've got that person that you can connect with, that's going to give you a sense of peace of mind that this is going to be a successful journey, most likely.
Thank you so much, Ben and Tamika, for being here today. I'm so excited about 2024.
Hello, I'm Rich Robbins, inviting you to join me for the series Soft and Tender. Soft and Tender celebrates the resilience and emotional depth of Black fatherhood, offering a powerful narrative on family bonds and ongoing challenges faced by Black communities.
Probably up until 25, I'd never asked for a picture of my dad. I'd had some, but I'd never asked to see one.
Tune in on CAN TV, cable channel 19, or stream at cantv.org or the CAN TV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
This year ahead will be transformative, with the In the Money team as your guide towards financial freedom. We're thrilled for the journey ahead, and we hope you're just as eager as we are. This season is all about embracing your financial identity and paving your unique path towards prosperity, no matter where you currently stand. In our upcoming episodes, we'll dive deep into understanding your money personality and how it influences your spending, saving, and financial habits. We'll also unravel the mysteries behind credit reports and their pivotal role in your financial house. But before we start on this journey, it's essential to know where you stand financially. Take a moment to visit freecreditreport.com and grab your free credit report. Understanding your current financial landscape is key to charting the course for your financial future. The In the Money team is here to support and empower you every step of the way. So gear up, grab your free credit report, and join us next week as we explore the fascinating world of money personalities. Your financial transformation starts here. If you have any questions about today's topic or past topics, please send me an email to Kimberly at inthemoneyemail.com or follow me on Instagram, Diva of Cashflow. Remember, we are on this journey together.